Oh god, it's never the individual's fault. It's always the fans' fault. When you produce something that nobody wants to watch, and you don't make much money, it's not your fault for producing something bad. It's the fans' fault because we didn't pay to go and see it. How many more times are we going to see this scenario play out where it's always the fans' fault? It's getting a bit old now. Just along the same long lines of getting, if someone doesn't like something, they're a middle-aged racist bigot, homophobe, and all that sort of thing. It's old. It's done. Move on. But anyway, Indiana Jones director blames fans for Dial of Destiny's failure. Of course it is. He will direct a Star Wars movie next. Of course he will, because all the Star Wars movies are always coming out, and they're doing so well with Star Wars. It's basically most of the fan base has given up on Star Wars, and it's pretty much like the way of the old Yeller. You're taking it outside, put a double barrel shotgun to its head, and pull the trigger. Star Wars is pretty much dead now. Indiana Jones and a Dial of Destiny director James Mangold has blamed the failure of his big budget film on fans in a recent interview, completely ignoring and dismissing all valid criticism of the Phoebe Waller-Bridge led film that also featured Harrison Ford. Interesting that it's not Harrison Ford featuring Phoebe Waller-Bridge, it's the other way around. Indiana Jones fans the world over turned their noses up at Mangold's film, failing to connect with the this movie's deconstruction of one of the greatest action heroes of all time. In the movie, Harrison Ford plays Dr. Jones as a broken old man, awash in a misery, until a snarky brunette female with a British accent comes into his life to show him how inadequate he is. That's not to be confused with Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, where Ford played Han Solo as a broken old man awash in misery until a snarky brunette female with a British accent comes into his life to show him how inadequate he is. Maybe people are just a bit sick of that type of story type lead. But according to Mangold, who by the way is slated to helm a big budget Star Wars project in the near future, the film didn't bomb because of the script or the characters. It certainly had nothing to do with his creative vision or the numerous reshoots that he attacked fans over, claiming falsely that they never took place. The budget was about 200 million, and then it spent about 180 million on reshoots, but apparently that never happened. No, Indiana Jones director James Mangold instead places the blame where it belongs, with the fans, you and me, the paying customer, the audience of Indiana Jones fans. You have a wonderful, brilliant actor who's in his 80s. So I'm making a movie about this guy in his 80s, but his audience on one other level doesn't want to confront their hero at that age. And I'm like, I'm good with that. We made a movie, but the question is, how would anything have made any difference, the audience happy with that, other than having to start over again with a new guy? And then here comes lifelong heroes from my childhood into my life going. We have something for you to work on. It was a joyous experience, but it hurt in the sense that I really love Harrison, and I wanted audiences to love him as he was, and to accept that that's part of what the movie has to say, that things come to an end, and that's part of life. You see, apparently, fans were unhappy because Indiana Jones was old, and people didn't want to see old people or something. They're so disconnected, aren't they? They have no idea uh, what they're doing, and then because it doesn't work, they blame everybody else. It might surprise Mangold and many of the high-ups at Lucasfilm, but many times human beings manage to reach their golden years without degenerating into sad, sack, pathetic wastes of space. Many people embrace their life as senior citizens and remain productive members of society who appreciate their lives without the intervention of a stunning and brave, snarky British brunette. The budget for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny reportedly ballooned to a massive $387.2 million after the aforementioned reshoots that Mangold claims never happened. The film made rounded off $384 million worldwide, which sounds like a lot. Which sounds like it came close to meeting its production budget. That is, until you remember that theatres get about a 50% cut of the box office take, and Disney ran a massive promotional tour for what they were hoping was to be a new beginning for the aged Lucasfilm franchise, with Phoebe Waller-Bridge reportedly assuming the mantle from Ford. Maybe she's just not that likable. Possibly. Dial of Destiny is one of the biggest bombs and black marks in history of Lucasfilm, and yet Lucasfilm is reportedly bringing Mangold back to direct a major Star Wars film in the near future. Time will tell who he'll blame if that one ends up falling flat on its face. We can only assume, though, he won't be assuming any other responsibility himself. How do you feel about Indiana Jones director James Mangold blaming the fans for his film bombing? What will he do with Star Wars? Like I said at the start, Star Wars is basically done. The majority or the vast majority of the fan base have now given up on Star Wars and left. I mean, what happened to the new Daisy Ridley film with a director that has zero interest in Star Wars, is all about pushing agendas, and doesn't know anything about Star Wars? That doesn't sound like a bad combination of a film to be put together, does it? But yeah, it's just a bit sad that these people are so enclosed in their little budget, their little bubble in Hollywood, that they have no idea of the real world outside, and cannot understand or get their head around the concept that what they're making is trash, and people don't want to have trash thrown in their face. I mean, it's just pathetic now, really. But hopefully, when Hollywood keeps losing hundreds of millions of dollars on these stupid ideas, they'll wake up and possibly finally, admit when they're wrong and actually start making content that people want to see. I mean, we've had films come out that people want to see that had no agenda in it and were just made to entertain, like the Maverick Top Gun film that made over $1 billion because it was really good. The Avatar 2 made over $2 billion. The films that have been made for the passion of making it and with no agenda and just to entertain have done really well. The films that go with an agenda seem to crash and burn every time, so I think they need to wake up. But what's your thoughts? Is it the fans' fault that Indiana Jones failed? You know, did you not pay your money to see this film? I mean, to be honest, I didn't want to see a sad sack of an old man. I loved Indiana Jones growing up, and it would have been nice to see him go out in a blaze of glory. But at every opportunity, they just pushed him down. It was really sad for me. So, what's your thoughts?